Hello and welcome back to the My Journey podcast with me, Matt Johnson, and my co-host, Tom Scott. How are you this week, Tom?
I am perfect, Matt.
Perfect.
Perfect. Having a good week. Pubs are back open, aren't they? So
Yeah.
It's always a good sign when stuff like that starts happening.
So have you been up to much over the last couple of weeks since we last spoke?
No, not particularly. Same old. I've got my classes starting again in August, which is good. I had a full team meeting. Obviously, I wasn't doing much. I was just kind of sat there observing it since I'm furloughed. But it was basically just how things are going to run as a company going forward. So it was good to be on and just kind of hearing what's happening and stuff like that without actually having to do anything, which was nice.
Nice.
But yeah, it's looking like things should hopefully start returning to normal soon. But obviously, that depends on how things are going.
Is there any talk about like you returning to the office like a date or anything like that?
Potentially September. I think there's going to be some skeleton staff running through July and August, but I'm not sure if I'm one of them people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Are you happy with that?
Yeah. It'll be nice to get back to it. It's just I kind of want to know a date, sort of thing. Like I still think I'm going to be furloughed for the rest of July, which I can cope with.
Yeah.
And even through August, I'd be okay with that. It's more just the knowing.
Yeah. Just nice to have a date to work towards, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's just going to be that mental preparing for it as well, like having this amount of time. I mean, I'm kind of used to having a summer not working in an office, basically. So that should hopefully be okay, but there'll definitely be a lot that's changed, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously we've been working on the challenge as well this last couple of weeks, which we're going to talk about specifically at the end of the pod. So if you want to hear more about this like ambiguous entity that has been touched upon over the last couple of episodes, then make sure to stay with us until the end, where we'll be revealing all, I think. Yeah.
In that time.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, it sounds good. If you, like you say, things are starting to return to normal and you're starting to get a few hints of what might be happening, then hopefully, in a few episodes' time, you'll have a much clearer picture.
Hopefully so, yeah. Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. How have you been anyway?
Yeah, not too bad. This last few weeks, like, all my admin stuff just seems to have landed, like, personal and business-wise. So, like, car insurance, business insurance, renewal of some legal documents, all this kind of stuff. So, like, bit of a hit to the bank balance, but that's all right. But also just a lot of time filling out forms and checking all my details are correct and almost like repeating the same information over and over and over again, trying to get like the best quote and stuff like that. So
you've timed it right so they all happen at the same time.
Yeah, the only thing is I started getting a bit confused and started like on my car insurance, telling them how much forecasted income I'm projected or not. But no, overall it was all right. And yeah, just these things are coming. You just gotta the more coming at once isn't nice at the moment for the bank balance, but in 6 months' time when I've not got anything like that coming out, I'll be well happy.
Yeah, that is true.
But yeah, I've also got back into the webinars a bit and started watching a few webinars. Was a really interesting one with an agency and SEO agency, search engine optimization, and agency over in Sheffield, I believe they are, called Rise at 7, who've been open a year and they're doing I think they've got 1 million turnover or whatever. They're a really interesting company, really doing some really cool stuff, and you probably have they're one of these where you'll have seen their campaigns without realising, kind of thing. So it was really interesting to hear from them how they've grown so quickly, that kind of thing. But yeah, there's been a couple of different webinars, that kind of thing, that I've joined, which has been good.
Yeah, how's your client work been going?
It's been alright. It's not much changed since we last spoke about the targets and stuff like that. Still in conversations with some people.
Yep.
A couple have gone quiet, but that's always the case. You expect it, so just have to start chasing them up again soon. But yeah, just keep pushing away, and hopefully all the stuff I'm putting out is kind of leading towards the right direction. I've had one of the inquiries I'm dealing with at the moment is just they've seen my content, which is really good because a lot of the stuff I get is through referrals, but actually somebody seeing my content and what I'm capable of, and that's spoken for itself is pretty good. And I was quite excited about that post I shared. I think it was earlier this week, or maybe even last week. I've completely lost track of date, but like kind of did something a bit different with the photo to try and make it look like I was popping out, and that grabbed the attention of people, so that was quite good.
Yeah,
and
that's alright then.
just bits like that, and then obviously over in Social Media Club launched the second lesson, which was all about how to tag people effectively into your post in order to reach more people, which is I think something that's not very spoken about as much as it could be. It seems like you just tag people, but you have seen the video. When you get into it, there's quite a lot to it, really. So
yeah, I was going to say, we haven't spoken about Social Media Club in a while. Is that still going as you was expecting?
Yeah, I think it's a bit slower rise at the moment. I think we're at about 55 members now, so that's quite good. But yeah, we just keep plugging away. People in it seem to be getting good feedback, both from people in the group publicly and also just chatting to people. Like, I really liked what I saw from you the other day and stuff like that. So yeah, it's something we keep up for a little while longer. I think I'd said initially like 3 months, but I'll probably do it for another few months as well, especially while we're in this kind of uncertainty. Just keep it plugging away and see what comes of it. I don't really know if the people in it are the kind of people who turn into clients. I don't know what their kind of budgets are, but it's just good to get your face in front of more people, really, because I think I'd say probably half the group are people that I'm not connected with in any other way. So it's quite good to see that, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just before we jump into the main body of this episode, where we randomise a topic once again, just a quick reminder to everyone that if you're enjoying these podcasts, just to like and subscribe, follow, whatever it is you can do on the platforms that you're listening, just to give us a little boost and really help us out. We've seen some really good numbers recently. I share them with Tom, probably every other day, don't I? And the chart's going the right way.
Yeah, definitely. And it's getting a nice reach as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, what were some of the charts we've just appeared in?
Well, it was an odd one. We were in the top 100 chart for entrepreneurship on Apple Podcasts in both Russia and the United Arab Emirates. So if you're listening from either of those countries, thank you very much.
Yeah,
we hope you're enjoying it.
Drop us a message.
Yeah, I'd love to know who it is who's actually listening. It'd be really interesting to hear that. But yeah, it was one of them where it popped up and I was like, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I was a bit surprised with that one.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I think, having tried to delve into it a bit more, it's only limited what we get information-wise, but I think it's people like literally going through the series rather than just like one episode or whatever. They seem to be going through. So yeah, if they ever do get to this episode, then yeah, please give us a message. It'd be really interesting to hook up with people, and who knows, Tom, we might be doing a podcast tour in Russia and the UAE in the future.
Oh, back a coat.
Brilliant. Right, let's just get into this today's episode then. So, as ever, we're going to randomly generate a topic from the long list. If you want to see your topic discussed on this podcast, then make sure to drop me a message at the MJ Social on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and we'll make sure to get it added to the list. So, I'll generate a number using Google's trusty number generator. Head over to the list, and we've got number 7, which is personal branding. Bit more info on this one is top tips and the 3 key questions. So this is something I talk about. I do as many sessions, and I've probably bored you a little bit with it in the past, Tom, but yeah, I suppose maybe the best place to start is to maybe ask you, what is it you would like to know about personal branding? I know you didn't add this topic to the list, but is there anything you think about personal branding that you'd like to learn or know?
I don't know if there's something that I'd want to learn specifically, but more what, from your perspective, what type of benefits can you see from someone really pushing their own personal branding?
Well, there's there's three different types of people really that personal branding applies to. Well, three different areas you find yourself in. So, first area, which I've done a lot of work with, is students. And I always say to them, the benefit to them is the fact that every graduate is competing for the same jobs, really. Yeah. You might not be, there's location and stuff like that, but if you think about it, like a business degree from Hull Uni, how many other people have got a business degree from a similar or better university? Especially if you come up with like a 2-1 or a 2-2. First separates you a little bit, but not that much. You're competing with essentially everyone else has got the same thing on their CV. They've got some decent GCSEs, half decent A-levels, and a degree in business. So what makes you any better than any other candidate going for a job?
Yep.
That's one area. The next is employees. So personal branding can help you stand out in your own workplace in terms of building a reputation at work and getting to know more people and maybe getting yourself noticed, ready for promotion or whatever. But also if you want to change jobs, change to a different company or a different field as well, like a different sector. Having a personal brand around you allows you or gives you more opportunities to do these kind of things. If you're somebody who's just done one thing the whole time and only ever done what was needed in order to get that job, how can you then switch because everything is funneled down this one path?
Yeah.
And it's just making yourself stand out. And then the final is like the business owner, the entrepreneurs, that kind of thing. Ultimately, people buy from people. And you can have the best business brand in the world, but a lot of the time, if people don't feel a connection with you, especially in B2B, business-to-business arenas, if they don't feel they've got a connection with you, then how are they ever going to want to buy from you? And that is exemplified by the fact that on LinkedIn, the personal profiles do exponentially better than the business profiles at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's that reason. People want to hear from people, not from brands. And same on Facebook, they rank stuff from your friends and family much higher than stuff from business pages that you like. And it's that reason people want to hear from people. So by having a personal brand, firstly, you're setting yourself apart from everyone else. Secondly, you're making yourself more there's more points of reference for connections, and whether that be emotional or business or whatever. If I talk about sport, then people know I'm interested in sport. They've got a point of reference with me. They've got something that they can relate to. So that's basically a very quick overview about the three different areas of why personal branding would be important for each of them different types of people.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you would think that maybe people listening, because obviously you're coming out from maybe a similar position as a listener about, I'm very into my personal branding, very passionate about it. It's something I push, but as somebody who maybe knows of it, but who's thinking, why kind of thing, is there anything else?
Well, I was going to say, because the main thing that normally comes to mind when it does come to personal branding, it's almost as though the personal side of it is kind of ignored, if that makes sense.
Yes.
The whole, you forget that all that is that's just your image. It's not just the type of themes that you stick to through your social media sort of thing. There's everything that comes around it. And I think it's that kind of challenge of once you just sit and listen through to what you've just explained there, is thinking, okay, so I can still apply that to myself without having to really do too much.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I say to people in terms of personal branding as well is it's called personal branding because it's about you.
Yeah.
So if you're not interested in something, don't try and pretend to be. There was once I did a session at a school, and there was a girl who really loved films, really into movies and cinema and what have you. And I said, if I came across your social media or I met you or whatever, how would I know that you're into films or cinema and that kind of thing? She went, well, if I told you, and I was like, yeah, but how am I going to know that you're into it?
Yeah.
And when are you going to tell me just, hi, how are you? Hi, I'm good, thanks, I like cinema. You're not. So how do I know that? And she was like, I don't know. And I went, you don't know when it comes down to the job. Same qualifications, same everything, but you've got an interest in film and cinema, and actually there's a group of people that go to the cinema for new releases once a month in their organisation, and they can start to see how you fit with this organisational culture that they've got that if you hadn't spoken about this stuff, they wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But she thought she had to try and be professional and all these like typical words that you see on a CV, innovative, teamwork, and that kind of thing. And you do, but they're the things everybody's saying.
Yeah. You're looking at what's making things different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a thing I did about, like, when I do my presentations about the common themes you see on CVs, and it's like hardworking, flexible, motivated, team worker, that kind of thing. And I'm like, if these are the most common phrases used on CVs, then if you've got them in yours, so does everybody else, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So like, how do you set yourself apart? And I think it is just having this kind of like showing a passion for something or a knowledge for something. So that actually links into the 3 key questions I kind of referenced at the beginning. So the 3 key questions I get people to ask themselves are, what are you passionate about? What are you knowledgeable about? And what are your aims? And basically, your passion is just something that you enjoy doing. So when you get home from work, or when on a weekend, or when you get home from school, what is it you go and do that you just love doing? Then knowledge is, what is it you know more than probably the average person about? Like, you can talk about in a pub or whatever, you know, like you've got that kind of extra foundation in.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And then finally, what are your aims? Where do you want to be? And none of these 3 at this moment have to be related. You just got to ask yourself these 3 questions. And then what you try and do is find the crossovers. So if you're passionate about football and you're really good at statistics, let's look at how we can cross them 2 over and try and find an area. Because there was a quote from somebody, and I should have it on my phone if I can remember who said it. But basically, he's saying you make yourself rare by combining more factors. So, like, if you're passionate about football, well, so is everybody else. You know, like,
yeah.
But your knowledge of statistics makes you different from most people, because most people are knowledgeable about statistics and do basic statistics, but like I'm talking like actual like mathematical statistical analysis kind of thing. You can then do more than the other people, so you're making yourself rarer and rarer and rarer. One of the things it does say on that though is you've got to have one of them should try and be something like communication based, because that helps you then to communicate what your personal brand is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you can think about a passion, a knowledge, and what your aims are, try and find crossovers between 2, ideally 3 of them, and then that's what you then try and build your personal brand around. So it's quite a simple framework, but it can take a lot of soul searching and digging, and I don't know about you, but confidence as well. I don't know if that's come across. Like, you've got to be a bit big-headed.
Yeah, really kind of speak about what you are good at, what you do enjoy, and
yeah, because I'm basically saying when you're knowledgeable, what you know more about than anyone else. Well, you know, it's quite a bit of a big-headed thing to say. Oh, I know more about this than anyone else. And it's not everyone else; it's just the average person. And then your aims as well. You don't have to say them out loud, but like we did in the last, in the last podcast, we literally spoke about what we predicted for the future for ourselves. Well, you've done the aims section now, which is to have an organisation where you give people the opportunity to do different things,
So now I need to start assessing what I'm good at and what my passions are, and go from there.
And then that's what you start to build your personal brand around. And then there's all the other factors like your teamwork and your motivation, that kind of thing, that play into it. But ultimately, that's the bit that sets you apart. You add them 3 prongs onto the other bit.
Okay.
And then, hopefully, it should benefit you.
What sort of feedback do you get when you present them questions to people?
So, initially, I do it a lot in workshops, and we're normally time-bound or whatever, and what have you. But, like, a lot of people can normally get 1 section. Like, if they know what they're passionate about, or they know. And if they have got 2, it can be really tough to find the connections between them. But I always say to people, like, just be stupid with them. Like, just be ridiculous with the connections. Like, we had a kid who for some reason wanted to do geography, but was passionate about football. I think he was saying geography because he felt that was an academic thing to say.
Yeah.
But then we started talking about what's the crossover, so we started talking about like they've done about erosion and stuff like that in geography. So we were saying about like the football stadiums you see on them, like clickbait articles where they're like built into a cliff or whatever, and I was like, that could be a crossover. You know, it's like really random. It's probably not going to be a crossover that he's not going to become a football stadium expert on geographical locations, but just creating them points. And there was somebody else I read about, I can't remember who it was again, but it was saying about like if you struggle to get, let's say you got to try and write down 10 ideas, come up with 10 business ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You struggle to get to 10 because you might be like, well, that's not a very good idea. That's not a very good idea. But if you set yourself the target of getting 20 business ideas, getting 10 becomes easier because by giving yourself more to get, you've reduced the standard. And I think that's a bit with this. I'm not saying you want the worst ideas, but stop trying to look for the perfect crossovers and the perfect bits in each of the 3 sections. Be a bit more like, let's just try and get 10 things in each section.
Mm-hmm.
And then start to try and find the crossovers in the one. And you'll have the ones that stand out to you and you really like anyway. So they're the ones you're going to gravitate to as you work your way through the process. But if you've only got one passion, one knowledge, and one aim, you're limiting yourself.
Yeah.
So just get like 3 or 4 down in each one. If you're struggling to get 3 or 4, aim for 10. I've tried it and it works. It is like a psychological thing. You automatically reduce your cut-off of what's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And you get more ideas as a result. So,
yeah.
But go on.
That's always something I've had a issue with, is whenever it comes to thinking of something like that, I'll always think of one idea and I get so fixated on that being the best idea. I can't think of something else to go with it, or if I do, it has parts of the first idea already in it, or I'll go back to the first idea sort of thing. And so that in itself just sounds like a good exercise just for me to give a go, just to try and get out of that habit.
Well, I think this guy did it, who I read it from, was in a book by Tim Ferriss, and it was basically the guy gets up every morning and tries to write 10 ideas on a different topic every morning. Okay. So it could be 10 ideas for a film, 10 ideas for solving the coronavirus. Like, you know, there's like crazy stuff like that. Like, he just gives himself to try and stimulate creative thinking. But he said that when he finds he can't get 10, he aims for 20 to try and stimulate creative thinking.
Yeah.
And it just seems to be a good tactic. I've tried it a couple of times, trying to come up with so I like ideas for clients and ideas for myself. I just kind of set the bar a bit lower, get the creative juices flowing, and then tighten it. You know, 90% of the stuff ain't going to see the light of day, but just to get that other 10%, you maybe need to lower the standards a little bit. But and in terms of personal branding, it's an ongoing thing as well. I always say this to people: they get positive feedback to the sessions, and people say, "Oh, you've really made me think." But sometimes people be like, "I haven't got it. I can't get it. I've not solved it. I've not fixed it. I've not found what my personal brand is." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not expecting you to be sat here at the beginning of this podcast and by the end of the podcast have your personal brand sorted." It's something you think about, you build upon. You kind of head down a wide track and just keep narrowing it down until you find the bit that fits for you. And because you might be going down it and you might see someone else is doing that, but you like it, but you can turn it, put a flip on it. Mm-hmm. So you kind of edge down a slightly different path or whatever in it. You know, the people who do, you know, on LinkedIn, for example, if you think about the people you know on LinkedIn or you see the most from, it's because they've got a good personal brand. You know what they're about. You know what type of content they post. You know where they work, what they do, that kind of thing. So it does pay dividends to have it.
Yeah. Okay. What if someone just wanted to drastically change their personal brand? Either something's happened or they're looking at moving to a completely different industry sort of thing. Is it just the same sort of process? Just
I think it's accepting it won't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just say, like, I'm the person who's known for recruitment and now I'm the person who's known for legal advice. Like, it doesn't happen like that. what you could maybe do is see if there's some kind of middle ground between the two and try and build that going across. For example, use them, recruitment and legal advice. You might find HR law and start talking about that. So you're gradually bringing people across with you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one way of doing it. Another way is to just put a line in the sand. If it, you know, you could do it that way. Put a line in the sand and say, as of today, I'm now working in the legal sector, so I'm going to be posting about this, and this. You know, to kind of just set out your stall and go for it. But just appreciate while you do that, you're going to get some people drop off and some people, and it'll take you a while to maybe bring that back up. But again, I say it's not about numbers as well. Don't get too fixated on, oh, well, you know, when I had my old job, I had 10,000 connections and now I've only got 7,500. Well, if them 7,500 are interested in what you do now, it's better than having 10,000 who aren't interested in what you do.
Yeah.
So it's quality over quantity, and the same goes across all personal branding. Like, you know, it's getting that quality when it comes to your output. When it comes to generating the ideas, as I said, try go for quantity, you'll get more ideas which result in better quality.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your actual physical output, try and get quality stuff out there.
Okay. Well, that sounds good.
And then obviously when it comes to actually getting it across, it's finding what works best for you. So we spoke about on previous podcasts, if you just asked me 2 years ago to do a video, no way. Ask me now, I'll happily do it. You know, so find what works for you and what works for getting your message across as well. So they could be two separate things. You might find that works for you is blogging, but actually what works for getting your message across is video. You need to try and balance them two out a little bit, maybe.
Both, yeah.
But yeah, find what works for you and then just kind of do that. Try different things as well, because it could be something you've never tried before that really works for you. So although I work in social media, it might be talking about, you know, it might be criticising the platforms that works for me in terms of getting my message across. Maybe I know there was a big brand who did a thing around, they got people to send in like their problems for social media campaigns, and then they generated an idea and responded with it within a tweet within 24 hours.
Okay.
And that really worked for them, even though them people are not their client, because then they're such a big agency, they'll never be able to afford them. It helped them grow and build like a foothold within the sector of these people are doing this thing, and it got all their ideal clients to kind of go, oh, what are they doing, and look at them, you know.
Look at them, yeah.
So, you know, just doing different things and trying it out. You never know what might work and pay off for you. Yeah, are you going to start building a personal brand, Tom?
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I've got my piece of paper out. I've got me 1 to 10 written down for each thing.
Nice. The good way to do it is like do like a Venn diagram, like a 3-way Venn diagram.
Okay.
Write them down. Yeah, write them down at the side. Your different things. So write down your passions, your knowledge, and your aims outside of the Venn diagram in each of the sections. So next to each one of the bits of the Venn. And then within the Venn, write the thing that makes them a crossover, if that makes sense.
No.
So
I'm definitely going to give that a go, because I think it'll be interesting to delve into that.
Yeah, like one of my passions is Hull, and like that's why I really wanted the job at Hull 2017. What am I knowledgeable about marketing? What's my aim? I want to have my own business. Like, so you can kind of see how that's all coming together within what I do and what I talk about and how I've built what I've got. You know, there's other things that feed into that, but just as an overview, you know, as a quick one there, that's how I do that. But yeah, hopefully that's been helpful to people. If anybody does use it, it would be great to see or hear from them. We were, you know, if you don't want it sharing, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to just drop us in a message, it'd be great to hear how people found that one.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think that's a good place to leave that little bit for now. And to round off today's episode, as promised, we're going to let you in on what the challenge we've been working on is. So, obviously we've both been doing the challenge, but I've spoken quite a lot in this episode, so I'm going to let Tom kind of take the lead on this, explain what it is we're doing and why we were so secretive about it. So yeah, over to you, Tom. I'll chip in as and when.
Yeah. So what we've basically done is we have created a challenge, very well named, I think, called the Idiot Trading Challenge. Now, the idea behind this is that we're two people that know a little bit about stocks, but not too much, particularly. Like, I have some of my own. I'm not sure if you do, Matt, but basically what we've done is we've gone to the Trading 212 app, and we've first of all started off with £50,000 each, not our own money, which it was, but that wasn't. So we basically did a practice week where what we did was we looked at what type of trades we could do and basically try and see who could end up with the most money by the end of that. That week was short, it was quick. I'm not sure how much I learned from that. I think I picked up one or two things. But basically from there, we've then gone into investing our own money. And it's going well so far. It's definitely fun. It's not time consuming as such, but it's definitely always at the forefront of my mind, thinking what trades are going on this day, what's going to happen in the following week. And yeah, essentially what we're doing is each Sunday we're catching up with each other, kind of running through how we've done that week, and then we're also seeing on a percentage change basis who has won for that week. We're currently running it for 4 weeks. There's potential plans to run further, but we'll see what happens when we come to the end of it. And it's been very enjoyable. I'm not well, speaking from my experience. What about you, Matt?
You know, it's been good. I think as well. Like that first week, the practice week was just all about learning about the platform that we're using. We're using Trading 212, and then the last few weeks, so we're just about to enter the final week. But we'll explain a bit about like how you can keep up to date with the challenge in a second. But yeah, these last few weeks, when it's your own money, I'm glad we did that practice week because I learned about the platform and stuff like that. But it is completely different doing using your own money. So,
yeah, you 100%. When you're throwing around fake money, you'll make just random trades because you're like, oh well, if it pays off, it pays off. If it doesn't, it doesn't really matter.
You did the typical thing, didn't you, where you watched your video and you literally picked a stock based on its name in the practice week.
Yeah, no research, no nothing. I just picked it off its name, and it's fun. It's definitely been a learning curve. I wouldn't say at this point I'm that much more knowledgeable on everything. It's definitely going to take a while, and it's definitely not one of the things you can look at and think, oh yeah, I could just make a bunch of money off this easily, because in some places you can, some instances you could get lucky with it, you could have done a bit of research, you could strike something, but I don't think that's the standard case with this. A lot of the time it is a lot of hard work and just waiting for the right opportunities to come up, really, and being there at the right time, really.
And I think as well, like, I wouldn't be too much different. I'm not saying I'm trading too differently, but like the fact that it is a challenge and we are trying to beat each other, like, has influenced some of my decisions. In terms of like, I've been thinking I want to beat you, and I've said throughout the challenge I don't want either of us to lose money, but I do want, if I lose money, I want you to lose just a little bit more than me, or if I make money, I want you to make a little bit less than me.
Yeah, it is definitely making it more entertaining, especially going back and forth with each other during the week, kind of off camera. That has been entertaining. Just not winding each other up as much, but kind of not giving too much away, and kind of been like, do I need to make another trade? Like, the way he's talking, I think he could be doing a bit better than me this week. Do I need to do something else to really make a difference? And then when you're thinking, oh, actually it's my money, I can't be too risky with it, it definitely throws you around a bit. But yeah, it's going good. That the first video is going out, or it should already be out by the time this podcast is up, and that'll be on YouTube. So the best way to find that is just to search for Idiot Trading Challenge.
It's a nice blue kind of thumbnail in it. It's blue, light blue kind of thing. You should spot it. It's got both our mugs on it as well. So
yeah, and yeah, you can basically follow along with that. Episodes are going to be released every other day, if not a few days in between. As that's going out, kind of get used to the schedule of how that's going. But yeah, you can jump in, follow along, leave any comments if you want to see what's going on, see if I mean, yeah, I mean, it's the Idiot Training Challenge, so if you want to call us an idiot at any point during it, which, knowing of some of the things I've done, someone will be sat there just shaking their head at me.
Yeah.
I can see that coming. But that's part of the fun of it, that's part of the challenge.
I think as well, like, we're now, as we say, going into week 4, the final week, but we're releasing the practice week, so we're ahead of whatever happens. But yeah, we've both, throughout the challenge, real and fake, have made some pretty interesting decisions, shall we say. But yeah, it's just a bit of fun. It's not there. We're not trying to be financial gurus. We're not trying to teach you how to trade or anything like that. It's just a little bit of light-hearted fun that, you know, if we make a little bit of money, we make a little bit of money. If we lose a bit of money, I'd rather not. But, you know, if we do, we do. We just did it for a bit of a laugh while we're in lockdown kind of thing, and just hopefully it does entertain you guys.
Yeah, and if you've listened to the last episode of this podcast as well, at the end of that, I kind of went on a bit of a tangent talking about being on the microphone, being on video sort of stuff. Hopefully, when all these videos are out, you can see in that as well, especially from me, maybe from Matt as well. But the change from that very first episode to the last episode, how much more natural it kind of looks with us talking to the camera, how we're a bit more eccentric in it instead of just talking directly at it. You can, even from editing it, you can definitely see the change so far.
Yeah, we've definitely come on leaps and bounds and like just learnt along the way. But it was like, although it's not live in terms of we're putting any content out live, we've been learning in the challenge live. So like, we literally, you can from week 1 to week 4 see the difference, because on week 1 we were just recording and doing stuff and then going afterwards. We should have done that differently, but it was really hard to go back and change things because the stocks had moved or whatever. So just, yeah, the first few episodes are scene setting and a bit of us learning both how to do the challenge and all the entertainment side of it as well. So yeah, I think like end of week, practice week into week 1 is when it starts to pick up. So that'll be out in a week's time. Probably that should start to come out around the kind of 12th of July. So depending when you listen to this, but we'll have stuff coming out from the 5th when we're recording this as well. Yeah. So yeah, so if they want to check out Idiot Training Challenge, there will be a podcast to go alongside it, but that's less detailed. YouTube's the place to watch it in its entirety.
Yeah, we try and make it as clear as we can on the podcast with what's going on, but definitely because we are recording our screens as well as recording ourselves, so you can kind of see that along with the YouTube videos, exactly what's happening. And a lot of the videos as well does condense a few days into one, so you can, as you're watching a video, they're kind of going across there. But they're definitely worth a watch. They're only about 10 minutes each, so it's not going to take up too much time of your time of day. But you might also, by the end of it, being like, I wish these episodes were longer because I want to see them make more stupid decisions. But there'll be plenty of videos coming out.
Yeah, and like we said, there are forfeits each week, which add a bit of jeopardy, a bit of fun to it as well. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy that. It's quite a bit different from this podcast, I would say, but still it got a link back, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you to everyone who's listened to the podcast today. As we said, if you enjoy this, make sure to subscribe, follow, whatever, share it with a friend as well. That would be absolutely incredible. We're just trying to reach more people with it. Yeah, and also just linking back to the main section, I'll be releasing a worksheet that fits with the personal branding stuff. So if you want to download that, it'll be available somehow on my social media or in the description. So keep an eye out for that as well if you do actually want to look at your own personal branding. But yeah, until next time, thanks for listening.